So good morning. It is November 5th, Monday, and we're going to get things started here. It's 8:30. First thing we have on the agenda today is a public hearing. So we're going to call this public hearing to order. Go to 2-1, and we'll go to the Director of Corporate Administration to read aloud the notice. Thank you.
As required by the Local Government Act, a public hearing is being held at this time to hear from anyone who may be affected by the proposed changes to the city's zoning bylaw. The amendments proposed in bylaw number 4152 include 3 corrections to the city's zoning bylaw. The first is to align the definition of secondary suites in the zoning bylaw with the provincial building code. The second is correcting the section numbers that are referred to in the flood control section. And the third amendment is correcting a typo in the M2 industrial light zone. The required notices were published in the local newspaper and no comments have been received.
Thank you. So we will call 3 times then for comments from the gallery. Calling second time. Sorry, I don't think I was on. So calling the third time. So seeing none, we will close the hearing. And on that, we will move to the regular meeting of City Council and call this to order. And we have a few things under new and councillor business. So good morning, everyone, and we will start with Councillor Wilbur under 2-1.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning. I had a book. I've got it down to 10 points, so bear with me. We have had a recommendation to accept the consultant's report on the airport for discussion, and we have heard from the airport manager and his opinion on some of the points in that report. My understanding of communicating with NAV Canada with regards to purchasing the tower was for the purpose of a pilot's lounge and administrative offices on the 2 upper floors, and NAV Canada would keep their existing space. Through discussions with the consultants, the airport manager, staff and council, we knew there would be some expenses in purchasing that tower, such as repairing or replacing the lower roof membrane, which is an estimated cost from 2009 of $10,000 to $60,000. And we'd have to look at moving the security fence to incorporate the tower. Plus, we'd be taking on the utilities of approximately $7,000 annually, which is about $583 dollars a month. I find this a significant financial undertaking for an office with a view. 2, the pilot's lounge is a short-term goal, but it should be set up for long-term use with privacy for overnight stays. Number 3, if you recall the slideshow presentation by the consultants, on the 9th slide, it showed photos of potential space for a pilot's lounge. It included an existing washroom, kitchen, lockers, living room space, TV, computers, etc. could go in there. And also the janitorial room had a floor sink, which could be converted to a handicap accessible shower. That point bothers me, but anyways. Leaving the top floor for administrative offices. If we look at the Gate 2 work plan that was attached, this layout creates a traffic flow for secure crews and passengers, and it eliminates privacy of a pilot's lounge that offers accommodation for overnight stay. I foresee an issue with secure passengers lounging in a space that's for pilots. Number 4, if broadening the scope of work is the only way to achieve potential federal funding, that tells me there's no potential funding for a pilot's lounge anywhere, but there is funding for renovations which include a second gate and washrooms in the holding area. Number 5, I have to ask, is the space being used in the best way? On October 22nd, we were told that security staff and the janitor had to be moved to accommodate a new airline. I see potential to eliminate this issue completely by using some of the space of the old administrative office for a security staff and the janitor. Having the second gate traffic flow, increasing the arrival area to a more family-friendly spot in our terminal, and I wonder if these renovations would qualify for federal funding. The needed washroom in the holding area is a prime example of renovations with no planning to accommodate passengers in the future. It should have already been there when that was renovated, as far as I'm concerned. On December 12, 2011, our airport manager stated that airport development should go hand in hand with community growth. The needs of our city population will grow the same at the airport as it will at any other city facility. Does this renovation in the airport terminal account for this? Number 7, handicap accessibility. Both the tower and the second gate lounge have issues. They can be addressed and there are many avenues for grants to eliminate them. Mr. Darling's point around accessibility brings up some other concerns. Is the proposed washroom in the holding area wheelchair accessible? I would question that an accessible washroom can be built for $17,100. An automatic door opening system is approximately $3,000 before installation. Is the washroom in the second gateway lounge wheelchair accessible? Is the proposed shower handicapped, which there's no shower even in the diagram for that second gateway lounge? Such a shower runs about $5,000 plus before taxes. And I know this because for the last 6 months, I've been designing an accessible home, and the equipment's the same for at home or industrial use. Number 8, naturally curious human beings. These could be the same people going to and from the administrative office in the tower, and I would say less likely to be pilots who rely on Nav Canada's equipment. Number 9, how do we accommodate wheelchair-bound pilots and passengers today? And 10, I know it's exciting to be accomplishing our short-term goals and to be able to say that we're looking forward and we're moving forward and it's off our list. I believe it would be in the best interest of our taxpayers to make sure we have a set direction with our airport improvements, and we really do dislike having to go back to fix them. It's costly. I'm also sure that I was not the only member of council to be shocked that the second gateway lounge was being constructed in our airport terminal. We do not want to hear in the future, with regards to the pilot's lounge, a statement like Mr. Darling's on December 12, 2011, and I quote, "It was not the best, but it's all we had in regards to appropriate space," end quote. Considering we've already invested an extra $38,000, give or take, even though we're under budget on our airport, on doing a sustainability study and around governance, I'm asking for an open discussion and a set direction for our pilot's lounge. So those are my points.
You start at number 1 again? That was
I know
a fair
what
bit
they
then.
are, but my point is, are we doing the right thing? Is this the best use of that space, and are we looking at the future? I just really see that design as a traffic flow and a potential problem, and we're going to be saying down the road, oh, a new airline's come in, where do we move the security staff and the janitor?
Sure. So, usually this is not stuff council gets into, but I'm looking to the rest of council to see if there's questions. Councillor Kenny?
I'm sorry, it's just too
it's
much
fine.
information for me to absorb.
Yeah.
Like I respect your points, and I'd like to examine them. I'd like to look at them and read them, but I can't. I just can't absorb that much information. But I think it's worth a read. And,
Well, thank you for that, if I may. The
go
point
ahead.
is, I did absorb it all the way through, and I have been watching and listening. And my point, I guess, really being is we have no recommendation. When other recommendations come to us from staff, a motion's made, we discuss it, and then a decision's made. This did not happen with this, and I think it should have, because it's a huge investment. We're buying another used building, and we're going to invest money in it for an office with a view.
Councillor Schumann?
Yeah, thanks for all of that, Shaylee. I just feel like it's not really my job to be deciding how to build bathrooms and rooms at the airport. I think that's why we have Mr. Darling. And I seen the report here by him. And I mean, I was one of the ones under the impression that we were putting the pilot's lounge in the tower. And I mean, I completely understand with his report here of why they're not going to do that now. And I mean,
So if maybe I can help here, because you've got 10 points there that you have concerns for. They weren't here, so this is the first time council's heard them. So as Councillor Kenny said, it's a lot to kind of take in. Can I make a suggestion that you refer those 10 points back to staff? Because really nothing will happen unless there's a motion anyway. But maybe, unless Jim can think there's something we can do here, at least that way there, maybe some of your points can be answered. Jim?
Through your worship, council is not going to get into a debate with the councillor about how to build a washroom.
That's right.
If council wishes to make that decision, just go ahead and make it. We don't care. If you want it in the NavCan tower, that's absolutely fine with us.
I just want to make a point that my points are actually an answer to the information provided by Mr. Darling. Whether the washroom is wheelchair accessible or not is irrelevant. The point is, he mentioned it in his attachment, and so I answered it. So he brought up accessibility in the tower. Well, my point is there's also accessibility issues in the terminal in that layout. Whether it's wheelchair accessible or not, I'm not sure how many wheelchair-bound pilots we have flying into Dawson Creek. That's not the issue. The issue is my understanding was we were buying the tower for two purposes: for administrative offices and for a pilot's lounge. And then that didn't happen. So I don't understand why we bought the tower if we weren't going to utilize it for what we were purchasing it for. That's really my point.
Okay. You're fine? Okay, so absent of a motion on the floor, it's 10 great points coming from you. Nothing will change.
Then I would like to make a motion that we build the pilot's lounge in the tower as originally intended.
Okay, does somebody want to second that? Councillor Parslow? Who wants to speak to it? Because we're right back to square one in the sense that I can't vote in favor of that without knowing what the heck we're getting. I mean, what's it going to cost? Why are we doing it? What's the changes? That would be my thing, right? So, sorry, Councillor.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the report from Ian and to Councillor Wilbur. So you don't believe Ian's report here about the fact that the tower isn't appropriate any longer because of the equipment or the electronics room not being less? Like, I mean, what are you saying? Are you saying that
I'm saying that
you don't believe his report? That
No, I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is that any person entering that building on their way to Mr. Darling's office could easily open a door. So being that it's his concern is that by just one twist of a dial or turn of a knob or even touch something that places them in danger is a real possibility. Well, that could be anybody. That could be someone going to his office, not necessarily a pilot going to utilize a pilot's lounge.
Okay, Jim, you want to?
Just, Your Worship, if you wish to have the pilot's lounge in the NavCan Tower, we will bring one in under the budget. We won't be bringing you back designs. Council's role is not to design washrooms, but you can certainly say, and we didn't understand that it was important to you where it was. For the various reasons Ian's listed, that's why we decided to put it in the airport terminal building. If you don't like those reasons, you can certainly direct us to build it in the NavCan Tower, and we will. And we will bring it in on the budget, and you don't need to look at further plans. You just need to decide whether you're making that decision or not.
Thanks. Councillor Parsley.
Yeah, I'm not into washroom designs either.
Sir, can I trouble you to use your mic?
Sorry,
Thank you.
I'm not into washroom designs, although I do believe we should have accessibility for all people, having had some difficulties recently. The question that, and I apologize for being late, I'll tell you this story privately later. The interesting thing that I was one of those people that thought the lounge was going to be put into the tower as well. And I respect, you know, that sometimes things may go awry. And so the point that Councillor Wilbur made that grabbed my attention is about the decision-making process. And I just wonder, has there been some misunderstandings between some members of council or council as a body and administration? I just don't know, because I was again thought, oh, we've got this nav tower now, and that's where the lounge is going, a place where pilots can rest, relax. I remember those words from the report as well. So I'm not on a bandwagon here. I'm just asking if has something broken down in communication.
Sure. Well, that's exactly administration's question. We didn't understand that you cared where the pilot lounge was, just that you had a pilot's lounge. If you care where it is, we didn't understand that direction, and there's no motion with that direction in it. But now's a perfect time to make such a motion. We have stopped work on the facility in the airport terminal building, and not much work had gone into it to date. It's certainly timely. We can certainly make that change if that was your direction. There's still ample time for you to clearly make that direction.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Thank you for that. Is there I mean, I don't like making decisions either without staff input and recommendations. So is there time for our next council meeting to get a review of the pluses and minuses of the two locations so we can make an informed decision? I've got no problems it not being in the NAV Tower if that's the best decision, but I believe that our intention was that it was going to go there. But again, I'm open to reviewing this decision at the next meeting of council after we've heard from Ian and other staff as to what are the pluses and minuses. Are we in a rush to make a decision today?
I think the rush would only be council, who's been saying that we want to have the pilots lounge, and if not much has been done. So there is a motion on the floor right now to move it to the NavCan Tower. I understand where you're going from, because I mean we do have some staff. I mean we hire an airport manager who's give recommendations of why it was put where it was. If we have an issue with that and want to explore that further, I guess that's council's prerogative. So the motion could be to refer to the next council meeting if you so wish.
I would rather us do that than make a decision today, but I do think we do need to air it because some of us...
So you're not asking for any change to the motion as far as a staff report or anything? You just wanted a couple of weeks to digest this?
No, I would like some staff report on it. So can I make an amendment? I seconded the motion. Can I make an
again, through your worship, you'll just get back the reports you have in front of you. Yeah. They're not apparently persuasive to some or all of you, and that's fine. I mean, administration's job isn't to beat a dead horse. I mean, if you wish to move this to the NavCan Tower, it's not a big deal. This is not mission critical in any way, shape, or form.
Thanks.
Fine. I'll stay with my seconding the original motion.
Okay.
I just want to add, my issue is really not around washrooms or accessibility or any of that, but it is about privacy for pilots and having them be comfortable and putting it in the best place for the purpose of the lounge. The purpose of the lounge is for pilots, not secure passengers, not to have traffic flow. I mean, I would hate to think that a pilot's sleeping in the lounge and all of a sudden a plane comes in and a secure passenger comes through the door and decides to lounge. I mean, those are the things that I look at. I'm not about designing the lounge. We have staff to do that. I'm not about the accessibility or anything. I was only replying to issues that were put in the report that is in front of us as an attachment. My point being is I want to do it right the first time, and I don't want to have to go back and say we misused space in the terminal when there are other issues there, like new airlines coming in and having to move the security staff and the janitor. We could accommodate them there. So we could do two things. So that's my point. Are we using the space wisely?
So my concern is reading, and this is where I want to actually almost think about digest this a bit more. And like the Jim said, I guess it doesn't really matter, but we have a note here from our airport manager that says there's good reasons why it shouldn't be in the tower. And
I only responded to his reasons.
Yeah, so I'm not understanding why, if he's got good reasons why it shouldn't be in the tower, why you're suggesting we should put it in the tower.
Because I'm saying that what he is suggesting, which is good, it's good, but I don't think it's the best use of the space, and we already have amenities in the tower that could be utilized for the pilot's lounge. And we have to put those things in. My point around accessibility was, it was mentioned that the tower's not accessible for handicapped pilots. That he's mentioned that. And I'm saying those can be rectified. They're non-issues to me. They may have been issues to me 6 months ago. They're non-issues to me now. They can be fixed in either location.
Councillor Kenny.
I know we've reviewed this and accepted the report from the consultant, and in that report there was discussion about an area for the pilots. But I have to also respect staff that they're the ones on the ground. They're the ones looking at the situation, looking at the two locations. And it would be all well and nice to have this beautiful pilot lounge up there, but it looks like right now it's not a practical thing to do. And so I would like to just receive the information as it's been presented and accept the recommendations
Okay.
from staff.
So there is a motion on the floor, though. Right now, the motion is to stop work, which I guess has already stopped presently in the airport, and move it over into the tower, is what you're asking for. And that's the motion on the floor that's been seconded, so.
Okay.
So you'd have to.
I just also wanted to, like, to say that I was under the impression that that's where the pilot lounge was going to be. And probably the proper protocol would have been that the recommendation be made to council, because, you know, we had accepted these steps in the proposal that was presented by the consultant. And so, you know, by accepting the proposal, we kind of, you know, we accepted the recommendations, and that being one of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, so maybe, you know, there was a little bit of change, and maybe that, you know, there was a little bit of miscommunication, because I was surprised too. But I do accept the reasoning that Mr. Darling has given us in doing this. So I will be
Sure. So,
yeah.
okay. But in fairness to staff, when we made the motion for the pilots lounge, we never said that we were caring where it was, and that was probably because of assumptions on council's points. So, okay. Any further comments then? Sorry, Councillor Malkinson.
Your Worship, sorry. I'm wondering if there's a lot of space in that tower. I'm wondering if they could both fit comfortably. I don't know.
Both what?
Both the pilot's lounge and the office administration.
I believe if you look at the report from the airport manager, it talks about the fact that there's a lot of electronics in there, and there's things that have to be kept isolated. But again,
Is that on the upper two
That's-
floors?
don't know. Never been in there. Hired an airport manager. Don't care. Councillor Schumann.
Yeah, I was just gonna respond to Councillor Malkinson that it's all in this report from our airport manager that he doesn't think there's enough room to fit it all in there. That's why he has responded the way he has.
Okay, I just have one more.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I'm sorry. I
No.
just have one more question. When the consultants did their tour of the tower and they did their report, were they aware that Nav Canada had already increased their equipment? And this would be an issue?
At the time the consultants were here, we didn't own the NavCam building, so I don't know how much they turned their mind to that sort of stuff.
I think the consultant just said we should look at trying to purchase it. Which is what we were trying to do at the time. So.
In which we did. So now I'm not sure why we just incurred another building that's going to need possibly $60,000 worth of repairs,
Yeah.
and an additional $583 approximately of utilities a month for an office. It's a pretty expensive office.
Question?
Yeah, thank you. So, question's been called. I think everybody's aware of what the motion is. Okay.
Do you want to just say the motion again?
The motion is to have direct staff to build the pilot's lounge in the tower. Right now, it's been earmarked to be built inside the actual facility, but now it's to move it to the tower. Okay, that's basically the motion. So all those in favor of that? Opposed? And it is defeated. Okay, so on that, is there anything else, Councillor Wilbur?
It's a long day.
I was afraid to ask.
It's a long day, but I made my point.
Thank you. So we'll move to 2-2 then. We have a memo from Councillor Malkinson. And thank you for this, by the way.
No problem, Your Worship. I'd like to thank Council for allowing me to attend, as I did in the report. And good conference. Hopefully, maybe there's some really, really interesting stuff down there about, you know, cities and libraries as well. But yeah, hopefully the library board will be able to act on some of these some of these recommendations. They were pretty excited about the you know, idea of a jam, you know, a guitar space and stuff like that. So it was good.
So, sorry, can I trouble you to turn the main volume down just a tad? We're getting feedback through some of the speakers. Thanks so much. Councillor McFadden, you were going to...
I just, the councillor makes reference to a Mr. Frey. I'm wondering who that is.
Sorry.
The only Mr. Frey that I know of is the lead singer for the Eagles.
That's Fry, just so you know.
As a
Close
matter of fact, it was the lead. No, I'm just kidding. No, Mr. Frey was the presenter, former employee of Google.
Frey?
Fry, sorry. They called it Fry, but it's spelled Frey. But yeah, he's a former employee of Google, and now he's, I don't know how exactly he's involved, but he's, yeah, he's this member of this Da Vinci Institute, this consulting company.
Sure. Put some very interesting points there that you brought forward. Thank you for that. Are there any comments from council on Councillor Malkinson's trip to the library?
Well, this was not the lead singer for...
No, that was not Mr. Glenn Fry.
That's the name, yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Nothing? Okay. Thanks again, Councillor. Is there anything else that you wish under Councillor business?
I don't think so, Your Worship.
Okay, just making sure. Anything else from any other councillors then? Councillor Barslow?
Are you trying to remember my name then?
No, I was looking at Councillor McFadden to see if he was going to.
Yes. Just coming to this meeting, or listening to a program on CBC about the city of Prince George, and it's just had a core services review. I was wondering if it, to staff, I guess, is a copy of this report circulating, or is it possible to get a copy of that report?
Through Your Worship, it went up on the City of Prince George website last week.
Good. Okay. And just another thing that piqued my interest, an article written by Kyla Corpus in the November the 1st issue of the Northeast News concerning Fort St. John. Basically, and I'm just really kind of curious what's going on. There, maybe again, staff may be able to illuminate me. City staff, just quoting in part here, city staff presented council with the operating budget on October the 22nd to ask for guidance on how to balance expenditures and revenue. I won't read on about Laurie Ackerman's comments and that, but is that, are they forecasting a deficit for the current fiscal year, or have they already got a sort of trial budget for 2013 and it shows a deficit position? I didn't understand that. I thought...
I'm not sure, Jim, if you want to answer on behalf of Fort St. John, but...
No, through Your Worship, their process is different than ours. They run a budget projection of all services provided the previous year, provided again with inflationary adjustments, plus all new service initiatives that have been authorized or discussed, and then that gives them a figure, in this case 1.6 million, that is required in additional revenue, and then they spend their meeting time going forward finding ways to balance that figure, which could be a tax increase of that amount, it could be a conversion of more fair share monies from capital works to the operational budget, it could be the elimination of some services. They go through those scenarios. Your process is you set a series of assumptions for Shelley, and Shelley will bring you back something that works with your assumptions, and then you okay it or you don't, but it's just a different process.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else under new councillor business before we go to delegations?
Oh yeah. Getting late.
No? Yeah, that was half hour went by quickly there, didn't it?
Usually we're half done the meeting by now.
Sorry.
Never jinx it by
No,
saying
no. That's good, that's good. Talk as much as you want.
Brenda, do we
Irish
have
and
It's your right to.
Brenda? Do we have our delegation here by chance tonight? Because we have a proclamation today for adoption awareness. So good morning. We're going to move into delegations, and we have Ms. Jones in attendance, and we're going to we have a proclamation which I'll read out and then invite you to come forward. So whereas adoptive families in British Columbia provide the love and support of a permanent family, and whereas the Government of British Columbia wishes to recognize the care, the compassion, and the unselfish commitment of British Columbia adoptive families, and whereas there continues to be a need for adoptive families to nurture the growth and development of children, especially those with special needs because of age, physical, mental, or emotional disabilities, and with sibling groups. Now, therefore, I do hereby proclaim the month of November as Adoption Awareness Month in Dawson Creek. I invite you to come forward. Thanks for coming in. I'll give you a few minutes, definitely.
In the past year, there were 225 children adopted in the province of BC. Unfortunately, it remains at about 1,400 children that are waiting for their forever homes. We never seem to gain on that because there's more children that become permanent wards within the province throughout the year, so we don't seem to gain any ground. We don't seem to be losing, but it would be nice if all of the kids could have a forever home.
So is there a combination, obviously a lack of families, but is there a process that needs to, there's obviously a long process to become an adoptive family.
The process is fairly long because, I mean, it is a thorough process.
For obvious reasons.
But there's also things that hinder it. Shortage in staff with the ministry being able to do home studies and that sort of stuff. So I mean, it all relies on the money that's put into the programs, and I mean, there is a shortage of adoption workers to get the home studies and get the families processed.
So what about from a local level in Dawson Creek in this area? Do you know how many children are
There
waiting?
was 7 that were adopted locally this past year. Seems to be a relatively large amount of sibling groups that are up for adoption, so they can place, it can be more difficult to place if you've got there's sibling groups of 5, you know, so you have to be a pretty special family and have lots of skills and lots of knowledge to take 5 little individuals into your house and be able to parent successfully and make them the best little individuals that they can be.
We'll just keep promoting it though, and if people want to learn more.
Every child that we get placed in a forever home is one that's out of the system.
And where's the best place to get more information?
You can contact the adoption worker at the Children for Ministry and Family, Karen Maxwell. And I supply the support services to all the adoptive parents in the north and the northwest as well. So.
Any questions from council? Or?
Good on you.
Yes,
Yeah.
good on you.
Good on you.
Thanks a lot for coming in then. And
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
So with that, we're going to move back to,
Your worship,
sorry?
you were going to ask for an amendment to the agenda for a second delegation?
Oh, definitely, they are here. Thank you very much. Yes, we're going to amend our delegation. We have some special guests who have shown up today.
I won something.
Hello, come on right to the front here.
We'd like you to keep this for us for the week.
So your team Atlantic office.
Well, we want to make sure you keep it safe because we will be back together at the end of the week.
So I have to ask, come on forward. Come on, definitely. Because, thank you, first of all. We are so excited on behalf of the City of Dawson Creek to host everybody this week. Having the U18 Championship and Nationals here in Dawson Creek is pretty exciting for us. Hopefully, and I know you'll have a great time while you're here. So who won it last year? First of all, it's Ontario, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how did you get the trophy? But, so your comment is that you plan on
Coming back.
It's going to be yours. Your name's going to be here
Right there, yeah.
on Sunday.
Yep.
And so officially the games start on Wednesday. You didn't. So do you play an exhibition today, or
No.
That's Ontario teams today.
We play Ontario Red on Wednesday for some revenge.
Nice. So I have to ask, is this your first time out here to Dawson Creek?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
It's nice to have you.
We made the snow stop for you. Just so you know. So definitely we want to encourage everybody to get out to the games, come out and cheer on Team Atlantic. Obviously, they're the ones that took the time to come here, so we want to make sure we get out and cheer them on. And we'll definitely make sure that the trophy's there for you on Sunday. That's the plan, right?
Sounds good.
Actually, while you're here, is there anything from questions from council?
I was just going to ask,
Put you
what
on the
was,
spot.
I was going to ask you, what was the game score when you won that trophy?
Oh, this is Team Ontario that won it. So somehow they snuck into the change room, I think,
And
got
snuck
the
it over
trophy.
here.
They snuck it over here because they think they're going to have it back on Sunday. But that's a good goal to have.
Yep. I guess introduce yourselves.
Yeah, please.
I'm Jen McCaskill. I'm from Nova Scotia. I'm Brianna Lansing. I'm also from Nova Scotia. I'm Sarah Steele. I'm from PEI. I'm Kate Hazlitt from New Brunswick.
What's this?
I think
Well,
on
cross-section.
behalf of Team Atlantic, we just want to thank you guys for hosting this and making this the experience it's going to be. This is Brad Taylor. He does a lot of our work. He's our manager.
Hey, Brad, Barry, everybody.
We also have a couple Hockey Canada guests. Kristen, where's Kristen?
Okay.
Oh, there's Kristen.
She's filming it all.
And our development friend used to be Trina, and now is Kevin.
Excellent. And we'll welcome. And thanks, Kristen. I didn't even recognize you, see you there because I'm over with the trophies. So I'm trying to figure out how I can get in. So, Councillor Kenny.
So I want to know, how did you feel about our facilities? Were they up to par for you?
They're great. So for sure. Yeah. Very welcoming.
Great.
Yeah, we should thank all the volunteers too, because to put on an event like this, a couple of hundred people who stepped forward in the community we're very excited to have all of you in our community, and we want to make sure that it's the best experience that you've ever had. I'm assuming it's for the first time for the Nationals for all four of you, or no?
Actually, you're actually on here last year.
Oh, you were? Okay. So you know what you're getting into, so you know you can get your name on this.
Yeah.
Excellent. Maybe Barry, is there anything, can you give me any update on
No, if we can find the rest of their luggage. What are we missing? We're still missing luggage, but we had 5 teams in yesterday. It's been a marathon for sure, but everything's worked out well. We've got some great volunteers.
I lost my luggage.
Missing your gel. Oh, his gel's missing. We're up today to win. No,
You
so
know,
thank you.
Dawson Creek might be a little smaller than some communities, but I know a few places that sell gel. So.
The girls were coming in saying it had that Atlantic feeling, so yeah, very good. So thank you for the time, and we just wanted to
Well,
say
thanks,
hello.
Barry. Thanks everybody for coming in, and I know myself and a lot of council, we're spending our week down there cheering you on and helping as well, and we're looking forward to all the games. And again, want to invite everybody in the community to come out and cheer on their favorite part of the country.
Or just the whole country.
Yeah.
Or just-
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll see you this week for sure. Pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Okay. So you actually want me to hold this seriously and bring it down?
Yeah, we'll be back on it. We'll be back.
Awesome. See you guys.
See ya. Thank you very much.
We're going to put it on its own pedestal.
Thank you.
Pomp and circumstance.
That's so awesome.
Nice kids, eh?
Yeah.
Thanks for varying the agenda. That was awesome.
trying to say?
I feel better.
What are you trying to say?
Got the email last night at about
Yeah,
10
yeah.
o'clock from Barry saying, is it okay if a couple of girls come in? And I said, I don't think we would be offended at all.
No.
Pardon me?
I'm glad, I forgot to, thanks Jim for, I didn't see them in the hallway.
How cute are they?
Excellent, so we're going back to minutes now then. So we have 3-1, we have 3 sets of minutes for adoption. We have Councillor Kenny and Councillor Malkinson and Councillor Malkinson.
Your Worship, I'm not even sure if it is a correction technically, but I just wanted to make sure that something was highlighted. The minute said that I left before the Mile Zero Cruisers presentation, I think, and I was wondering if, well, I did leave after the presentation from the art gallery, 2 delegations later, and I was wondering if that could be noted after 6-6 there.
Just changed.
Just Councillor Malkinson excused himself after the art gallery presentation.
Okay, so we'll make that amendment.
Cool.
Okay, so nothing else, then all those in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried, and any business arising from the minutes? Jim?
Yes, through your worship, one of your directions was to set up a meeting with the proponents of the new water line.
Yes.
And they're eager to meet with us. They had proposed a date next week, but as you know, you're in Smithers or Terrace all week, so we're now proposing November 22nd. So we'd like a feeling for whether council's available that day or not.
Okay, so we'll probably just, you want to just have staff send out an invite then?
Yeah,
See how
we
many
will,
things we
and Poos Council will be discussing that tonight to make sure they're available on that day.
Okay, and we obviously, it could be somewhat time consuming, so we've chose to call a special meeting rather than attach it as a delegation in a regular
Yes,
council
and we'll
meeting.
also need a venue that's big enough for yourself, the council from the village of Poos, the proponents, as well as a public gallery. So we'll probably be going off-site, Best Western or someplace like that.
Good, we'll make sure we advertise that then, because I'm sure there's interested people in the community that want to come out as well, as you say. Okay, thanks for that, and staff will just send out the invite. No other business arising? So we'll move on to 5.1, which is a letter from the Dawson Creek Secondary School, a request for their grad ceremonies again for 2013 at the Encana Event Center. Councillor Malkinson.
Move, Your Worship, that we grant the secondary school their request to host the event here, well, the event at the Encana Center this year. But I'm not sure about their request at the end of the letter.
Yes.
This agreement be between the city and the Dawson Creek Schools, a joint use agreement between the city and the school district. What's the deal with that?
Sure, so let's just, so the motion right now is just for the one?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
well, let's get that seconded then, and Councillor McFadden, and then Jim, do you mind giving some background to that?
Yeah, through your worship, there is a joint use agreement between School District 59 and the city of Dawson Creek, which basically allows the borrowing of each other's facilities on a rent-free basis within the terms of the contract. This event, however, is not a School District 59 event. It's an event specific to the South Peace Secondary School. And the reason they are drawing that to our attention is that it's not covered under the joint use agreement, and they're not suggesting that use of the facility ought to be rental free on that basis. This is a separate activity of South Peace Secondary School. The second request in the letter is for a long-term commitment to continue hosting or allowing the event in the venue. As you know, we have recommended that you continue to approve it on a year-by-year basis because you don't know what other demands might be on the facility at that time. And so if you decide to accept the long-term commitment, you are saying that the venue is booked for that purpose at whatever dates the school chooses. As you know, this year the dates have moved from last year. They might move again in subsequent years, and it makes it very hard for the venue to consider, for instance, a concert booking anywhere in the first part of June, not knowing what dates the high school might wish. But just again, the conceptualization of the Encana Event Center is not that it is a community use facility. In fact, your contract says there's only 2 community uses allowed free in any given year. It's an event center. So anyway, our advice wouldn't change on that, but
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have to be persuaded by our advice.
Okay, so that's the background. Any further discussion then, or Councillor Wilbur?
Yeah, I don't see that they're asking for a specific date other than more around waiving of fees, I think, is my understanding. Is that usually what we do, is waive the fees for graduation?
Yeah, so as Jim just mentioned, under the contract with Global Spectrum, we get 2 free community uses a year. So what we've done with them is the last 2 years, and they're asking for the 3rd year, is that we use this as one of our free uses of the facility and give it to them, with the understanding that they cover off all of the excess financial issues that with Global Spectrum that I think they said somewhere it was
It's
$4,000 or $5,000. Yeah.
$4,000.
So they cover off that. Prior to this, they used to use, as you know, the Kin and the Memorial Arenas, and they used to get a discount on that. I believe it was only a couple of years that it was actually donated, but some of the years towards the end they were actually given the charity rate, if I remember. But the last 2 years they've used Encana Event Center. They're asking for the 3rd, and I think they said June 12th in that week.
I just remember way back when that multiplex started, one of the selling features was our graduation classes could be hosted there because there's no venue in town large enough to do so. So I'm just wondering if maybe we shouldn't, I don't see them asking for a specific date. I just ask them, they're asking for reassurance that they will be able to have the venue for graduation and waiving of fees up to 2020.
Yeah, on the third paragraph down, just to help there, it says that they lead it beginning on June 12, 2013 with the grad ceremonies, June 14th prom, and the festival on June 15th, cleaning up on June 16th, so they need it for 4 days.
For this year.
For next year, yes. So, Councillor Schumann?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it on a year-by-year basis. I do understand that, you know, there could be something that comes along that needs to take precedence. And so a year-by-year basis, I mean, it's worked out so far, and I think it's working out really great to have it there, and I have no problems with saying yes to this year. It looks like it's going to work out, and they've got it all planned, and yeah.
And we've had the communication with the school district that they need to come in as soon as possible to try to pick those dates when they know. So.
Question?
Yeah. Any? Thanks for that. All those in favor then? Anyone opposed? It's carried. 5-2 is a letter from the Dawson Creek Old Timers, and this is a request to host the hospitality room for the Memorial Alumni in the Memorial Alumni Room in the mezzanine. Councillor Malcolmson.
Your Worship, I move that we grant the Dawson Creek Old Timers the request to host a hospitality room in the Memorial Arena Alumni Room and mezzanine for players and guests only on all the details that they requested.
Okay, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wilbur. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
I read this one a little more carefully this time, Your Worship, and I'm glad. I'm sure that it'll be done responsibly. The tournament, what was it? Last weekend, I had the opportunity of refereeing. It was the Old Timers tournament, and it went pretty responsibly.
Oh, you were the one they were complaining about. Okay.
Oh, probably. If you hear about a bad ref, that's usually me.
But thanks for helping. Okay, so all those in favor? Opposed, and it's carried. Let's move to 5-3. Email from Mr. Larry Moody from the Rotary Club. They're looking for a request for sponsorship. This was added as a late item, so I'm glad this got on here. The reason being is they are leaving in a couple of weeks. Possibly before a motion's on the floor, I'll just give you some background to this, and I'll then ask Shelley maybe for some help on where we're at with money left in the sponsorship. In 2006, the Rotary Club did this trip at that time again, and the city donated, I believe, close to $10,000 to go towards the fuel and the trip. At that time, they had quite a few more vehicles, though. It was quite a larger convoy. This time, I believe Mr. Moody told me they've got 2 or 3 vehicles going, but the same concept, filling it up and with needs and taking it down to Mexico. So. Shelley, before we have a motion, what do we have left in our...
It's approximately $10,000.
Do we have left for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Okay. So then I looked to council. The reason why they came in as well, they were getting the sign made up, probably at a place up on 8th Street, and because it has the city of Dawson Creek logo on the sign, that they came in and said, you know, that's what made them think about it. That they hadn't asked for sponsorship from us, so it was a bit of a late, last-minute thing. So, Councillor Kenny?
They didn't say how much the trip cost, did they?
No, how much the trip cost? No. Mr. Moody just came in and just said, you know, anything the city can do, again, because they're coming from the city and they'll have the logo of the city of Dawson Creek on there, and any little bit that we can to help for gas money. The Rotarians are all volunteering and taking time off work and everything to do this again like they usually do. So,
okay.
Councillor Kenny?
Well, I'll make a motion that we sponsor this international event for $2,000 to cover part of the gas to Mexico.
Okay.
2,000.
Yeah. So, Councillor Schumann. Yeah, and I'm comfortable with that too. Last time I believe they had about 7 or 8 vehicles, and we gave 10,000. So, on a ratio percentage, and you know, looking at what's left, it's a little late in the year, but we want to ensure that we have a little bit of money left in sponsorship in case other things come up. So, any other comments to that then? Councillor Malkinson?
I'm just wondering, well, 7 or 8 vehicles, and this time I guess there's 2 ambulances, 1 fire truck. I guess there's 8 vehicles. There was 8 vehicles in 2006, is that right?
2 this time.
Oh,
Two
sorry,
this time.
2 this time. Perfect. Good, that's
Okay.
good. We're doing good.
Very
Okay,
good.
okay, Terry.
Okay,
thanks.
so for $2,000 to help out with this, so all those in favor? Opposed? And it's carried. Thank you, and thanks to the Rotarians too. I know this is,
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff, don't they?
they sure do.
They're the best.
So we'll move over to, excuse me, to reports now. So we got report 12-251 from the Chief Financial Officer. And this is for the fair share funding review. Councillor Kenny.
I'll move the recommendation that report number 12-251 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding request for proposals number 2012-25 independent analysis and review fair share funding be received, and further that the RFP for independent analysis and review fair share funding be awarded to Gagnon Strategis Consulting for the price of $39,600 plus taxes.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Malkinson and Councillor McFadden.
I assume, Your Worship, that staff knows who these folks are. I've never heard of them. And I don't know, are they local or who are they, where are they?
Sure. Jim or Shelley?
Through your worship, they are a consulting firm. I believe their head office is in New Brunswick, and they have an office in Port Coquitlam. Looking at the people for whom they have worked in the past, they have done similar projects in the past. So
Thank you.
we have no reason to expect they can't do this.
Because my question was too, when I saw only 2 bids and they were about 400% difference between
Yeah.
the two, was there any reason that you saw possibly when they were looking at the different bids of why there was such a difference of what we were getting for that?
Yes, Your Worship, the bid we are recommending is for, I believe, 2 consultants to attend, gather the information, write the report. The second bid is a very large company that is bidding out at an hourly rate over $100 for the people who would actually do the work, and then a substantially larger number for the people who would analyze it and prepare the report in the head office. So it's just it's a scale item. The second bid is more along the lines of a core review, as Councillor Parslow was talking about. It's bid to be a significant piece of work.
Okay.
And is there a timeline when we can expect this to be completed?
I don't know the answer to that,
No,
Jim.
I don't know. I just was curious. What is this?
Or
Your
Shelley?
Worship, I can comment on that. So, after council approves, or if council approves the recommendation, we'll contact the parties involved.
Yeah.
And from the initial discussion, they will try to work within the time frame that was in the RFP, but because we're going over the Christmas break,
Yeah.
it may be delayed by 1 or 2 weeks, but I assured them that if that was the case, we could work with it. And
Thank you.
we're trying to...
Early next year.
Yeah, we're trying to get the work done as part of the 2013
Yeah.
budgeting process so that we
Yes.
can put it into the financial
Right.
plan.
Okay. Councillor Malkinson?
I just want to make sure that I'm on the right page here. So the what we asked for here was an independent look at how we use fair share, and the consultant will make recommendations on it. That's what we've asked for. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Any other discussion? So all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. 7-2. This is a report from the Chief Financial Officer regarding community grant requests.
Oh,
Councillor
get
Malkinson?
into here.
Yeah, so Councillor Malkinson needs to declare a conflict on this one.
Well, I'm wondering if I do.
Really?
Councillor Malkinson, if I may, is doing that because he is employed by one of the people who has asked for a grant.
Yeah. I'm just a member of one of the clubs.
We are too, but
We are
it
too.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter?
We're not on the.
If you are you on if you're on
If
the
you declare it, then that's fine.
yeah
Are you on the executive?
yeah. I mean, if you're like a member of the golf club or a member of the cross country club, that's one thing. If you're on the executive, or in his case, an actual paid employee, that.
No, I have no pecuniary interest in it.
Sure. Okay. So now we'll move then to that to a 7-2. Councillor Schumann.
Yeah, I'd move the the report number 12253 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the 2013 community grant requests be received. Further, the grants policy 3-year cycle be changed to 2013, 2014, and 15. And further, the grant request of $15,000 for the Bear Mountain Nordic Ski Association be approved, and the grant request for the Dawson Creek Golf and Country Club for $100,000 be denied.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Parslow. And question or discussion there?
So, pretty
Yep.
clear.
Okay, if there's nothing from council, then I'll call that. So all those in favor, opposed, and it's carried. And with that, Shelley, that leaves, if I understood correctly, about 40,000, was it? In
That's
next
correct.
year's to go through the ad hoc requests that come through.
That's absolutely correct.
Good. And one thing I just wanted to bring to council's attention, which I know everybody noticed, but if you look at over the last 5-6 years since we've started doing this new grants process, people are no longer coming to the city as the first person to ask. They're finding other means, and the amount that we've had to take out of our budget has gone down substantially with this process. So as long as council is happy with it and that motion there for the next 3 years, that's there. It should keep working. So 7.3 is report 12-249 from the Deputy Director of Corporate Administration regarding our bylaw enforcement officer, Councillor Parslow.
I'd like to move that report number 12-249 from the Deputy Director of Corporate Administration, reappointment of bylaw enforcement officer, be received. Further, that Chad Kaiser be appointed as a bylaw enforcement officer for the City of Dawson Creek.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wilbur. All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Do you have a question, Councillor Malkinson?
Your Worship, this is Brent's replacement, I take it, bylaw officer. And second question, did the recommendation pass on the last?
You will see in the minutes.
Okay, all right. Terry did the recommendation. Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? And it's carried. So 7.4 is report 12-252 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development. This is for Great Canadian Gaming Corporation for Development.
A shed.
But it's quite a, yeah, we said that for a shed, but it's quite a large shed, Councillor Parslow.
I'd like to move that the report number 12-252 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development, be development permit number 12-27 for Great Canadian Gaming Corporation, be received. Further, the staff be directed to proceed with the notification process and authorized to issue development permit 12-27 to Great Canadian Gaming Corporation for the development of an accessory building at 400 Highway 2 upon successful completion of the required 10-day notification period and receipt of the required financial security in the amount of $5,000.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Kenny. Any questions?
A shed?
A nice shed.
Nice
Garage.
shed.
Heated.
Well,
A nice heated shed.
why does council have to get involved in something
Because it's in a
else?
development permit
That's
zone,
the
it's
rules.
over the square footage of the shed.
It's a
I would
big
assume,
shed.
Jim, but that's a good
Accessory
question.
building.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
yeah.
Well, excuse me.
It's just the system.
That's what I
There's the
thought,
process
too.
for you.
Shed.
So, all those in favor?
Just want to put a lawnmower.
Opposed? Is carried. It's okay, the bus can still go around it, Councillor.
Don't.
It's long.
7.5 is report 12-254 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development. This is for a permit application for the Aviator Hotel at 601 Highway 2. Councillor Schumann.
Yeah, I'm happy to move the report number 12254 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding the development permit number 12-28 for the Aviator Hotel be received. Further, the staff be directed to proceed with the notification process and authorization in principle. The issuance of development permit number 12-28 to Aviator Hotel for the development of a 114-unit hotel complex with an 18.3 meter high reception building at 601 Highway 2 upon successful completion of the required 10-day notification period and receipt of verification of the financial security.
Excellent.
I'd be delighted to second that motion. Your
I
Worship.
thought you would, Councillor. Any questions? No, just that great to see us in front of us. We're hoping and excited to see actually something take place down on that property
Yep.
Well, and we
sooner
saw
rather than later.
We saw it like, what, 2 years ago?
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So the
Yeah, be nice to get it off the ground. Councillor Malkinson, you have a question?
Your Worship, I tried to look up this company and I learned there's a popular chain of hotels in England that are very luxurious called the Aviator Hotel. There's no affiliation here, is there?
I believe not.
Through your worship, this is a consortium put together for the specific project. It's the only project they have in the works.
Excellent. So with nothing else, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? And it's carried. So 7.6 is report 12.255 from the Director of Corporate Administration. This is the naming rights for the unnamed road out of the airport industrial subdivision.
I'd like to move this recommendation.
Councillor Parslow, sure.
That report number 12-255 from the Director of Corporate Administration, renaming of unnamed road in the airport industrial subdivision be received. Further, that Council approve the request to name the unnamed road located in the airport industrial subdivision the Rosella Boric Road, and further, the renaming of the floatplane base in honour of Mr. R.S. Trail be deferred until after budget discussions.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Kenny. And questions? Councillor Wilbur first.
I'm just wondering if we couldn't amend it so that after the Rosella Boric Road, that perhaps we name our Pilot's Lounge after Mr. Trail, and then it's done. We don't actually have a float plane base right now, so.
Which is why I believe that
exactly. So I'm just
there.
wondering if maybe not amend it, that we name our Pilot's Lounge after Mr. Trail.
That's a good idea.
Jim?
Yeah, through your worship, the committee has asked that if you're not going to name the floatplane base, one of the reasons you might not do that is there isn't a floatplane base, but if that recommendation of theirs to name a facility at the airport after Mr. Trail can't be fulfilled, that something else at the airport be found to name after Mr. Trail, so it would be in keeping with the committee recommendation.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll make that as probably an amendment we'll want to vote on because it is kind of contrary to the motion that's on the floor right now. Sorry, did we have a seconder for the motion though? Not yet. So I need a, did we? Oh yeah, Councillor Kenny, thank you. So Brenda?
Seconder for the amendment?
Yeah, well, that's what we need, yeah.
I'll second the amendment. Your
Okay,
Worship.
Councillor Malkinson seconding the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Councillor Malkinson?
Your Worship, actually, it's not time for a history lesson. Never mind. I'll ask afterwards.
If it's helps in your decision making, then it's probably a good question.
How is Rosella Boric involved with the airport? I'm curious.
Sure. So let's, if I can, let's vote. We're discuss the amendment first.
Okay.
Which is the RS Trail for the Pilot's Lounge.
Sure.
When we get to the original motion as amended, we'll get someone to answer that one for you. Okay. So anything on the amendment? Okay. So all those in favor of the amendment? It's passed. And on the original motion as amended, the question is now to the airport road. Jim, I think the criteria around that, it didn't have to have anything to do with the airport. It was just
through your worship, that's correct. Because the industrial subdivision has expanded well out past where First Street is, unless you're going to go to, 2nd and 3rd East or -2, -3 streets, you need to name those roads. So ads were placed in the local media requesting nominations for the unnamed road. There was no tie to the airport necessary because we call it the airport subdivision, but it's just an industrial subdivision, not zoned airport in any way. Mrs. Boric was nominated for her long service to the community, prominence of the business, various charitable works. The committee looked at that and said that was, in their opinion, a good nomination, fully meeting the criteria, and that they advised that you accept that nomination.
And just a reminder, it is a community independent group that we have as the naming committee. So.
Yeah. But on the other topic, if that had been a requirement to be in some way affiliated with the airport,
still qualified.
The Borics through Boric Air were extremely involved in the development of our airport.
Yep, it's news to me.
It was more than 19 years ago, some of it. So, yeah.
Charlie looks disgusted at me.
Not disgusted. I've always admired your thoughtfulness, but I'm just shocked by your lack of knowledge of Boric Air. Yeah.
You'll Google it afterwards.
I will,
Yeah.
yes,
And
you,
he's
you
probably
Google
Googling it right now.
Okay, so on the motion is amended. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, and it's carried. So the last report we have here is report 12259 from the Deputy Director of Corporate Administration. This is the request for quotes for the 2012-32 aircraft de-icer. Councillor Parslow.
The report number 12-259 from the Deputy Director of Corporate Administration. We request for quotations number 2012-32 airport de-icer be received. Further, staff be authorized to purchase the 1990 F800 Ford reconditioned airport de-icer unit from Flight Service GSE for the price of $46,000 plus taxes.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Kenny. Any discussion? Councillor McFadden.
I just wonder, $46,000 is not a lot of money for a pickup. I wonder, it comes equipped with all the stuff. I mean, right now they have a little thing they pull around with a little tractor that's not very efficient, I don't think. So this would be an actual truck that's...
Sure. Jim?
Yes, through
De-icer.
your worship, this is a self-propelled unit.
Yeah. A 1990 Ford. Okay, thank you. It did seem to be like going a lot of money for a truck like that. So that's
Yeah. Councillor Parslow?
Well, I would just reading, you know, that the airport manager feels that the unit will meet the needs, so
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing, and so I wouldn't argue with Ian.
No, I was just curious.
Maybe over toilets, but not this.
Especially not a toilet.
Yeah, so I will call the question on this one before it gets out of hand. So all those in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried.
I did bite my tongue.
I'm just surprised you didn't have a list of 10 things about this one.
I could
So-
accommodate.
Can you break, Councillor? Okay, so we're just going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll fill up our coffee mugs, then we'll get back, and we're almost done the meeting. Okay, everyone, we'll call the meeting back to order here. We're at bylaws now, so the first bylaw we have is zoning amendment bylaw. Sorry, I'll turn that on. Zoning amendment bylaw 4152, 2012 for third reading and adoption. Councillor McFadden and Malkinson. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And it moves us on to 8.2, which is report 12258. And this is zoning amendment bylaw 4144. We need to rescind first and second readings and then reread as amended here. So Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Wilbur. Councillor Kenny, would you like to read out, since we're rewording it now? Or would you like me to?
I'll read it out.
Okay, Councillor Malkinson can read it out as a seconder.
The report number 12-258 from the Director of Infrastructure and Sustainable Development regarding zoning amendment 12-06 bylaw number 4144, 2012 be received, and further that the first and second readings of zoning amendment bylaw number 4144, 2012 for 8600 and 8700 17th Street be rescinded, and further that zoning amendment bylaw number 4144, 2012 be amended as proposed to include an additional 3.3 hectares and given first and second readings, and further that staff be directed to publish required notice for the formal public hearing once staff completes its review of the servicing feasibility study.
Good job. Any questions? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? It's carried. 8.3. And we have fire protection bylaw 4153, 2012 for first three readings, and the nuisance controlled amendment bylaw 4154 for first three readings. Councillor Parslow, seconded by Councillor Schumann. Any comments? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. It brings us to mayor's business. You'll see there we have under 9.1. We actually have a motion here that the decision respecting the Diamond J Farms ALR exclusion be delayed until the December 17th regular council meeting in order to be considered at the same time as the Diamond J Farms OCP amendment application. And if someone can second that, Councillor Kenny. And just to let you know, I've had numerous discussions with these proponents, and this date was chosen as per what works with them as well. So, okay, so all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. I have nothing else under mayor's business other than to remind everybody again, it was great to see the U18 girls, Team Atlantic, come in this morning. Just wanted to remind everybody to get out and enjoy some hockey and cheer them on. It's going to be a great week. I believe everybody on council who's seen it, some of the videos that were made promoting this event were incredible. It really did a great job highlighting the event, highlighting Dawson Creek. With TSN coming in this weekend as well, that's just great promotion and advertising for the community. So especially, I'd like to see a lot of people there, but especially on the Sunday game, it'd be nice to see everybody in the community out. I'd love to see that facility full when we have TSN and this thing being broadcast live on TV. So, Councillor Parcel.
Yeah, just to that, because even I plan on attending. I'm not a hockey fan, but I'm going to this stuff. I particularly like watching girls hockey. But what time are those games? Just I know they're posted on the city website, but what's
They
the
are.
media there's a bronze
There's
game
about
and
4
a gold
games a
game.
day: 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Almost every single day, starting Wednesday, and then on the weekend, there's I think the finals, Jim, or noon.
I think noon, yeah.
But it is on the Encana Event Center website. It has a full schedule.
Okay. I imagine the gold game will be played right after the bronze game.
I would assume so, but I'm not
Yes,
sure.
the timing, the bronze medal game's going a little earlier than they would like, but it's all for television. Because the final game is broadcast on TSN, they wanted it noon our time so that it's an early afternoon game in the big markets in the east.
That's the bronze game.
No, the
gold
medal
game.
game. Gold
Gold
medal game,
game.
I believe, will go at noon.
Oh, so the bronze will precede.
Yes.
Yeah, probably 8, 9 o'clock game kind of thing then.
So you're making breakfast there?
You can get breakfast sandwiches there.
That's right.
12
Councillor
and
Kenny?
4. The games are
Yeah, and I just want to note that Barry Raynard had mentioned about organizing a breakfast
Thank you.
presentation with Jennifer Botterill, three-time gold medalist with the women's hockey league. And so Community Futures has been marketing this and putting it together, and we have 70 people attending that breakfast on Wednesday morning. And there's
Good for you.
There's a few more seats left. We won't turn anybody away, but we have to have our numbers in. I'd like to have numbers in at the end of the day today.
Where's it
Excellent.
happening?
So it's on November 7th at the Encana Event Center.
And a
It's
reminder
for
that it's a
it's
women
for
only.
ladies.
Oh.
This was a suggestion
Council.
by Jennifer Botterill. It wasn't my suggestion. That yeah, it is an event for
That's
for
8
ladies.
a.m.?
Oh,
Is
She's going to
it,
be a great inspirational speaker.
oh.
it's 8? Is it 8
8
a.m.?
a.m.
Good. Thanks for that.
Did you hear that?
Good.
Okay, so we'll move on to the diary,
I'll
Jim.
tape it for you.
That's okay.
If Councillor McFadden is
Yeah, we
is okay, we could, there's nothing new to report on the diary, Your Worship. Since our last report on the Calvin Crook Centre, nothing has changed as to the date that PBI will be out or the state of negotiations and the independent assessment of the value of work. All that has to come in before we can make recommendations to you, so I don't have anything new for you.
Okay, thank you. So on that, then we'll move the consent calendar. Councillor Malcolmson. Seconded by Councillor McFadden, but did you have a question, Councillor Malcolmson?
I just had one question. I'm not very familiar with this, so I just wanted to... There's that letter from Canada Post stating that Cost Recovery Initiative will apply a fee of $200 per address. So everybody in town that has a mail address will get a $200 fee from Canada Post?
Not a mail address, the new subdivision, but Jim, I'll let you explain.
Oh,
That's
okay,
Your Worship. Our existing residents are, for now, continuing to receive door-to-door mail delivery. But our new residents, our new subdivisions are not going to receive door-to-door mail delivery. That's a decision of Canada Post. There are some subdivisions that were already on the community mailbox system, which were provided at Canada Post cost. That's not going to be the case anymore. So for instance, the Sunset Ridge proposal you just saw, when fully developed, will have 115 new residences, and they'll pay 150, the developer has to pay 115 times $200 to have a couple of mailboxes set at corners.
Wow.
Which he'll pass right along
It's
to the
excessive.
consumer.
The reason why it's under the consent calendar is there was no action required from the city. They were just letting us know when we put it
Yeah.
on there.
It's not like we have any say in this, Your Worship. We
Yeah.
don't.
That's right.
Tough times for Post.
That's right. So on the consent, then all those in favor? Opposed, and it's carried. Now moves us to strat chart, Jim?
Yes, Your Worship. Actually, there's nothing, there are some changes you authorized at the last meeting that are now incorporated. But looking at your corporate priorities, you will receive the raw water reservoir design by the end of the year. The Encana Events Center business plan is coming at your next meeting. And Councillor Kenny assures us that the economic development strategy terms of reference is well underway and will be complete by the end of the year. And you've scheduled to review your policy manual in the meetings between now and the end of the year. So you will have actually not only have completed your 5 top priorities, but your 4 nice to have after that will be completed as well.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions then for Jim? No, so we'll move to the question period. Brenda, is anybody signed up today for that? No. So there's no committee of the whole this meeting, so it takes us, while we're in the meeting, to media question period, if there's something during the meeting. No? Meet after? Anybody? So on that then, we'll go to 16.1, which is a motion to recess to the closed meeting. And we have Councillor Malkinson and Councillor Kenny. All those in favor? Opposed? And it's carried, and we will take 5 minutes or so and then start the closed. Thanks.